You were my last resort, John. I wish you would have been my first resort. I had just been at the end of a rope of like a 15-year long journey and struggle with chronic pain and just feeling hopeless. And, I'd tried everything else. I mean, anything you can think of, I tried. I was sharing with my friend Hotan how I was just, at the end and was just about to fully give up and abandon any hope of feeling better. And she said, well, before you do that, you really have to talk to Sean. And I was like, oh God, what does he do? Acupuncture, chiropractic, wellness, wholeness, intermittent fasting, doctor. I mean, not all those are great and everything. I realized mine was more mental awareness that I needed. So we got in touch and the rest is history. Zero expectations, because I had learned over the years, 15 years, I'm not going to go in with any expectations. So I was going to give you one shot for me to size you up, suss you out, whatever the words are. And I knew that I was going to be open with you. I expected that you would be fantastic because I trust, the referral source. And she said just how much you had really helped her and changed her life. And it was true. Since the first Zoom meeting that we had, I remember sitting at my kitchen table and there you were. I'm like, who is this guy? But at that point I was open to whatever you had to offer. There's a before John and then there's an after John. There's BC and AD. That's how dramatic it feels. When I look back on the way that I was moving through life before I met you, I was just on autopilot trying to kind of stumble my way through life. And then now that I've met you and the work that we've done together, it's like, I can't unsee it. I can't unhear everything. I can't become unaware of the things I've become aware of. Working with you has helped me personally, professionally. The work that we did took me from like this level to this level. It just kind of raised everything. It raised awareness, it raised performance, it raised my ability to connect with myself and others. So it's hard to put into words, honestly. Interacting with myself the way I communicate with myself and my higher power, who I was able to get to know in a whole new way. The more I was able to communicate with myself, obviously, the better I was able to communicate with the people in my life, my wife, my kids, people I work with, my clients, because there's something really powerful that happens when you have this new level of awareness. It changes the way that you interact with every single person around you. One story that really stands out to me, it was kind of toward the beginning of our work together, and I had a situation with a client. And, this was one of my biggest clients who I was most excited about. And there was a breakdown in communication over a certain situation. Without giving you much information, you were really able to help me figure out what was going on, what was beneath it, how was I miscommunicating with the client. And instead of losing that client, which I was very close to losing, I ended up sending her this email and basically shared with her some things I'd been going through, or not going through, but things I'd been learning in coaching with you, and how I realized I had handled that situation poorly, and that here's what I learned, here's how I could have handled this better. And telling the client, I understand if you would rather not move forward and that's your choice, but I hope you know that I would really love to continue our work together. And that was that turning point in that relationship with the client. And she's gone on to enjoy, massive success, which our firm has had the, pleasure of getting to be a part of. So that I would not have even been aware of that without our work. I may have just let the email, sit in my outbox forever, or even never sent it, and maybe been like, well, that's her, that's not me. So with our work together, it's amazing how not everything is everyone else's fault. I'm the common denominator in a lot of cases. I don't know, I can be very prideful and ego driven, and it just became clear to me how I had made a misstep. And, it wasn't like this huge misstep. It really was this way I approached it. You could tell I was really trying to control the situation. And so to be able to say, look, I am aware of this now. I'm trying to change it. And I apologize. I handled that poorly. Was, I think deposited major trust currency into the bank of that client relationship. And she's one of my best top clients to this day. It's all practical. That's why I love our work together, because I love therapy and talk therapy. That's great. I get to talk out a lot of stuff, but the practical implementation piece is sometimes missing. So working with you started getting my mind into this habit of, okay, what am I noticing in my body? So that sort of cycle that I now go through, what's coming up for me? Am I triggered by something? What is the threat that I'm perceiving? Where do I feel it in my body? Listening to that. So if it's a shooting pain in my left shoulder, it happened last night when I was trying to go to bed, and I haven't had that shooting pain in a while. And I realized right before the shooting pain, I had a very uncomfortable thought, and a fear came up for me. So my body was saying, remember me, your shoulder pain. Don't think about that other thing that you just thought about. Let's think about your shoulder pain. And to be able to say, okay, shoulder pain, I'm listening. What do I need to know from you? So the greatest practical application is that pain went from being my enemy to being my greatest teacher. And then every time I would feel physical pain, I knew that it was, in my case, a manifestation of some type of unresolved trauma or emotional reaction to, a perceived threat. I think what I have to thank you for the most, because of how practical our coaching has been, I was able to not only start writing my book that I've been wanting to write for, I can't even remember how long, but I've now completed that writing. And so much of it has your fingerprints all over it. These big aha moment ideas that then so easily translate into, now here's what you can actually do with it. You feel this in your body, you feel this pain, or you feel this tension. I think that was one of the biggest ones in a practical matter, was how to shift my paradigm of thinking as it relates to tension and conflict. So I have a better relationship with my spouse. I have a better relationship with my boss because of the work we did just around tension, and realizing, okay, these people around me are just mirroring back to me what I'm maybe not aware of yet. Resolving that tension within myself, harmonizing the opposing energies internally, enabled me to then kind of integrate myself so that as I'm interacting with all these people around me, everyone in my life, clients, my kids, I was able to, and still am able to, much more effectively interact with people. There have been times when I didn't think that I would be able to move through a certain situation, like specifically some struggles that I was having in my marriage during COVID. We're all stuck with these people that we love, but then we can't stand at the same time. For me to be able to come to you with that and say, here's the situation. And then for you to be able to unpack it with me and start taking off these layers. Like, okay, this is what you see on the surface, but what could that actually mean if we go one level deeper? And then we would gain awareness. And then it was, okay, well, what's one level deeper? And then the power of you connecting that back to the mind scan results. I think that is, if I could pick one tool that you introduced me to, was the mind scan. And then when you and I went through it, it was like you were reading my whole life story. For you to say, hey, here's some data. This isn't just feelings. This is data. This is science. You can see that you are on the left side of the pendulum here, or this is a all red, component of your mind scan. You deny your feelings all the time, but you are hyper attuned to other people's feelings. To be able for you to just say, it's not just you. Your mind scan, it's all over your mind scan. This is what you do. This is how you interact with people. Now that we know that, why? And how do we challenge that? And because of the mind scan results, because they were so intensely on the side of just shove down, make everybody happy, I'm managing all this stuff. What I feel doesn't matter. You'll be fine. We'll deal with that later, Lindsey. I've lived my entire life like that, and it was killing me. And so I felt a little bit like a baby giraffe who'd just been born trying to walk whenever I saw the mind scan results, because I thought, oh, I'm not okay with that anymore. Like, I don't actually want to live like that anymore. I want to pay attention to, like, what am I feeling? And it was the most foreign concept. But now fast forward, 2 or 3 years since we started working together, I can consciously hold the awareness of what I'm feeling and what the other person is feeling at the same time, which is foreign and I'm still getting used to. But then I can go a step further and I can honor both of our feelings and no longer say what I'm feeling not only doesn't matter, but it is an enemy, because I need to make peace with this person standing in front of me, or I need to make them happy or make them feel whole. It's been transformative. I wrote my first book that was supposed to be between 60 and 90,000 words, and it was 262,000 words. I am most excited about that as my creative outlet. Before this, I've recorded 7 albums, and I loved those, but I've never been more excited creatively about anything. And it's that whole before John and after John. Like, my creative expression, it just blew up. Like the roof came off the house, whatever metaphor you want to use, because I was finally in tune with myself and what I was feeling. So my songwriting has changed. I do a lot of really bad art with my children. It's ugly. I don't want anyone to see it, but it's that creative expression. I'm bonding with my kids. And I think the way that I have become aware of how I think and how I am this creative person who I'm no longer playing down that side of me. I think when I got out of the music industry and got into finance, I almost felt like I needed to play down the creative side, because I was with all these, not very creative individuals. And now I bring that creativity into my financial planning practice, and I'm drawing and mind mapping, and the clients are, I don't know, they've not seen that before. Be open-minded. I think if Hotan at Whole Foods, when we were eating lunch, if she would have said, hey, I know this really great life coach, I would have probably had a visceral reaction, because I have this bias against people that hold themselves out to be life coaches. Be open-minded. The word coach doesn't even begin to describe what you do. You do so much more than what I know other coaches are doing. I mean, you are coming alongside people and you are playing an integral role in changing their lives. Like, people are evolving, their stories are evolving, their careers are evolving because of you. And I know you're humble and will say, it's not me, we're doing the work together. There's been no one else in my life that has been able to come alongside me and do what you have done. And from the very first appointment we had, you said, I can't heal you and I won't heal you. I'm going to work with you so that you can learn how to heal yourself. That to me is what you do in a nutshell. To go back to the beginning, be willing, be open-minded. You have no idea what John can help you do.